take a look above your head.
Oh, look at all the animals.
That's the animal spotting guide. It's a list of the animals we might see on the reserve today, although we probably won't see every single one due to migration patterns across the savannah. It is going to be a bumpy ride, so make sure you stay seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle. We're going to go through some rough brush, and some of those bushes have long thorns, especially here in the densely packed vegetation of the Little Aturi Forest. Here in the forest, the animals are really good at camouflage. Do I have any explorers on my truck who could tell me what camouflage means? Go ahead, shout it out really loud if you know. I heard hiding. I heard blending in. Those are exactly right. The animals here in the forest, they're going to use their natural coloring to blend in with their surroundings. They're going to try to hide from us deep within the bushes or in between the trees. So we are going to use our eagle eyes. See if we can find any animals that might be trying to hide from us. We have to remember, for many animals here in the forest, camouflage is their first and sometimes only line of defense against predators. Looking out to the right, you might be able to find an okapi trying to blend in. Okapi have sort of zebra-looking stripes on their hind legs, but they're actually the closest known relative of the giraffe. They share some similar features, like the same long, prehensile tongue. The okapi were not discovered by the Western world until 1901. Now that is good camouflage. They have an interesting way of finding each other in the forest. Each okapi has a signature scent that they secrete from glands in their hooves. So if one okapi wants to find their friend, they just follow the smell of the other one's feet. Looking on the hillside to your right, I see a large black and white bird, the saddle-billed stork, tallest stork here in Africa, at about 5 feet tall. I also see a couple of tall, tawny-colored antelope, the greater kudu. Must be female kudu up there. We know that because they don't have any horns. To the left, you're going to see a black rhino snoozing in the sunshine right by this mud pit here. A black rhino weighs about 3,000 pounds, and it can run up to 35 miles per hour.
Wow.
Really fast for an animal with no natural predators. Its only predators are human. In fact, the black rhino have been poached so extensively for their horns that there are less than 5,000 left. Some cultures believe that rhino horn has medicinal properties. Of course, science has proven this to be false. It's just made of keratin. Same thing we find in our hair and fingernails. Looking to the left, you'll see another one of the many endangered species on the reserve. These rust-colored antelope are the bongo. Bongo numbers are falling as quickly as the trees, as deforestation takes over their natural habitat. That's why young herds like this one are so important to the species' survival. You can do your part to help the bongo by making sure to reduce, reuse, and recycle your paper products. We're going to leave the forest now and go to the river, Safi River. And here in Safi River, we are looking for the Nile hippopotamus. Now, hippo like to spend most of their day in the water. And if you look to your right, I can see a couple of hippo underneath the water. They can stay underwater for about 8 minutes at a time. Hippo usually come up on the riverbanks at night to eat. Up to 90 pounds of vegetation every evening.
Daddy, did you see it?
Yeah.
I see a duck too.
Don't drop Daddy's phone.
If you look to the left, I see a whole bloat of hippo. That's what a big group of hippo is called. A bloat. The large gray birds on the island are the pink-backed pelicans. They get their name from a pink coloration that appears most brightly during mating season. And they're very social birds. They like to nest in large groups. During nesting, both the females and the males are going to help take care of the eggs. Now we're going to cross Mamba Bridge. As we do, look down to the left. See if you can figure out what Mamba means in Swahili.
Look at all the alligators.
Oh, alligators.
Mamba means crocodile.
Crocodile.
And these are the Nile crocodile. They weigh up to 700 pounds and grow to approximately 16 feet long. If you see a crocodile with their mouth open, they're not smiling at you. They're actually helping to regulate their body temperature. They release excess heat through their open mouths. Here on the reserve, we have several different ecosystems. We are about to explore the grasslands, also known as the savanna. And out on the savanna, we are looking for herd animals. Those are animals that travel together in large groups. So go ahead, take a look at your spotting guide, start brainstorming. What animals do you think might travel in large groups? Giraffe, elephant, wildebeest, antelope. Hopefully we're going to have a chance to see all sorts of different herd animals. So if you haven't gotten your camera out already, this is the time. We never really know what's going to be hiding in the tall grass out here on the savanna. We're not going to be able to stop for every animal we see. And the animals, they don't usually stop for us. So if you have a high shutter speed on your camera, action, sports, motion setting, go ahead, turn it on now. I'll tell you right, I'm sure you've already spotted these really big horns. These horns belong to the Ankole cattle, also known as Watusi cattle. They're named after the first tribe to domesticate them. Their horns look big and heavy, but they're actually pretty light. They have a honeycomb-like structure inside, and as their blood pumps through their horns, it helps to cool them down. Acts like their own personal air conditioning system. You can see a giraffe moving through the trees, perhaps a few more up ahead. A whole group of giraffes standing together is called a tower. Pretty aptly named since they tower above us all, about 20 feet in the air. Looking to the left, I see a pack of painted dogs. Painted dogs are incredibly family-oriented. If one of their pack is ill or injured, they won't move on. They won't migrate until that one is healed and ready to go. A pack of painted dogs can have anywhere from 5 to 15 dogs, and they're led by an alpha male and an alpha female. Speaking of girl power, look way back to the left. You'll see the sable antelope, emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and led by a matriarch, a female antelope in charge. To your left and to your right, you can see the Hartman's mountain zebra. Each zebra has a stripe pattern that's unique to them, sort of like human fingerprints. When they're born, baby mountain zebra imprint on their mama, memorizing her unique stripe pattern and nursing only from her. Scattered across the savanna, you'll see these large reddish-gray mounds. These are the termite mounds. They're made of dirt, termite spit, and excrement, and they stay out in the sun for days, weeks at a time, and the sun hardens them till they're as tough as concrete. These termite mounds are so hard an elephant could use it as a scratching post. Smaller animals, like some species of antelope, use the termite mounds as lookout posts. It enables them to see deep within the tall grasses where predators might be lurking. Let's look way back, not for predators, but instead for some very small cinnamon-colored antelope just dotting the top of the hillside. Those are the springbok, national animals of South Africa. One of the smallest antelope on the reserve. They stand only about 3 feet tall and weigh, fully grown, about 100 pounds. Also out to the right, we're going to see a whole lot more giraffe, including what looks like a couple little baby giraffe between the trees. Of course, I call those girls little. When they're born, giraffes are already about 6 feet tall. Giraffes spend most of their day eating, only about 30 minutes a day sleeping. When they sleep standing up or sitting down, but very rarely fully lying down. It makes them too vulnerable to predators. In fact, you almost never see a giraffe with their head below their chest for any long period of time. Too long down there and they could pass out because they have the highest blood pressure of any living land mammal. A normal blood pressure reading for a giraffe is about 300 over 200. It takes a lot of work to pump their blood all the way up those tall necks. Luckily, they have a heart that's over 2 feet long, so it's well up to the task. You may have noticed the things jutting out the top of the giraffe's heads. They're not horns. They're called ossicones. Ossicones are a protrusion of hardened cartilage attached to the skull, covered by skin and little tufts of fur. Oftentimes on male giraffes, you'll see the fur on top of their ossicones has been rubbed away. That's because they engage in a dominance behavior called necking, whereupon they hit the top of their ossicones against each other's necks and chests. Coming up to our right is a watering hole, great place for animals to gather. Oh, and I see an animal gathered here. Looks like an African elephant. Probably a male elephant since he's hanging out all by himself. Male elephants tend to be solitary creatures. Looking to the left, you're going to be able to see the mandrills, the largest monkeys in the world. Looks like a couple of females in between the trees here. One of them's holding her little baby. Female mandrills are 30, maybe 40 pounds. The alpha male mandrill, he's more like 100 pounds. He is he's much larger. Oh. Well, it says the road into elephant country is closed. Although, if you ask me, that road does not look closed. It looks washed out with all the rain we've been having. It happens sometimes here in Africa. Don't worry. We have another way into elephant country. We're going to go around. It takes a little bit longer, but hopefully we'll be able to find some more elephants. Maybe a whole herd of elephants. There are some good signs. After all, male elephants, they tend to come in close proximity with the herd during mating season. And just up ahead of us here, we're coming into the red clay pits. Elephants eat red clay. It is full of essential minerals, and it's an important part of their diet. So we'll look for any sign of the elephants. Footprints, maybe. Or tusk marks. On the right, those look pretty fresh. Oh, look to your left. Well, I think we've discovered the herd. And now, a herd of elephants is made up of females and their young. So, mama elephants and baby elephants. Female elephants will be pregnant for approximately 22 months.
Oh, wow.
At the end of their nearly 2-year pregnancy, they give birth to a calf that weighs up to 300 pounds. Male elephants are going to stay with mom and the herd for about 15 years. It's the longest adolescence in the animal kingdom. And well, longest with the exception of humans. Through research with the Disney Conservation Fund, we've discovered that elephants don't like the sound of bees. For whatever reason, the buzzing scares them off, turns them away. So we've been working with farmers out here in Africa to help set up beehive fences around their farms.
Wow.
It's a safe way to keep the elephants out of the crops. And it gives the farmers a second source of income. They get to bottle and sell that honey. On the island on the left, there's a flamboyance of flamingo. These are the greater flamingo. They stand up to 5 feet tall. And they get their famous pink color from what they eat. They eat tiny brine shrimp. And those tiny brine shrimp are full of beta carotene. Over the years, all that beta carotene turns them pink. When they're born, they're more of a light gray color. Looks like there's a warden's outpost coming up on our left. They must have just caught some poachers and confiscated their loot. Even on protected reserves like this one, we're not always safe from well-funded and very determined poachers. To the left, you can see some of the animals we are desperately trying to protect, including the ostrich, world's largest birds, although they don't fly. Instead, they use those big wings of theirs to change direction quickly when they run. You can also see the scimitar horned oryx on our left. 50 years ago, the oryx were extinct in the wild, found only on reserves and in private collections. If you look to your right, a white rhino. Another one of those endangered species. A few years ago, though, the Disney Conservation Fund teamed up with global partners to help release a herd of scimitar horned oryx into their native deserts of Chad. That herd's been breeding successfully, so we're really hopeful for the species' survival. Directly ahead of us is Duma Ridge. Duma means cheetah in Swahili. They've been known to hang around the area, but they can be tough to spot. See this couple of cheetah walking around? One up coming up from the valley, another one in the middle. They're the world's fastest living land animals. They run about 70 miles per hour, but they can only keep that speed up for a short period of time, more like a sprint. To your right, you'll see the newest addition to our reserve, a little baby white rhino. I thought I saw another cheetah laying down up here. Do you see if you look over your left shoulder?
Yeah.
Oh, and another one way in the back. You know, cheetah have non-retractable claws. It means their claws are always out, ready to grip the ground for their short, fast sprints. Up ahead of us is a kopie. A kopie is a large collection of rocks. Also a good place to look for lions. Lions like to hang out on kopies. It gives them a great vantage point of the entire savanna around them. But lions are inactive up to 20 hours out of the day, so if we get a chance to see a lion, they'll probably be asleep. Lions are most active at night. That's when the females go out hunting. Male lion, he stays home and protects his cubs. I do see some very large burrows coming up on our left here. No doubt belonging to the largest burrowing mammals, the warthogs. In fact, I see a couple of warthogs on the other side of the log there. Can you see them? They sort of look like hairy gray rocks, except for the fact that they're breathing.
see.
I don't see it.
Oh,
Warthogs go into their burrows with their tusks out. Their tusks are very sharp, so it's a good way to ward off predators. Coming up on the right, I see a couple more white rhino. I also see some eggs on the ground. Must be ostrich eggs. That would explain what the flock is doing in the area, defending their nest. And if you have really good eagle eyes, maybe you can find that small brown animal trying to hide behind the tall grasses. It has horns on its head and a white patch on its face. That's the Bontebok. Bontebok are very special. They were hunted nearly to extinction in the 20th century. At one time, there were 17 in the entire world. However, thanks to conservation efforts around the world, as well as reserves like this one, we've been able to bring Bontebok numbers all the way back up to sustainable levels. They're a real conservation success story. The Harambe Wildlife Reserve was founded in 1971, and it encompasses over 800 square miles. This is the newest part of our reserve, Magadi Glen. The Glen is home to our Warden's Post, and the Warden's Post is home to the domesticated Nigerian dwarf goats. These goats give milk that is very nutritious and highly valued. So by raising them here at the outskirts of the village, the warden and her team help the locals rely a little less on the wildlife found in the reserve.
Wow.
Dwarf goats are also very good for their environment. They eat roots and weeds that a lot of other livestock can't digest.
We
Well,
need those goats at our farm, honey.
my friends,
We got lots
it looks
of
like
weeds
we are
and
coming
trees
to
that we
the
need to get rid
end
of.
of our safari. But if you're here with us in Harambe for the rest of the day, it doesn't have to be the end of seeing animals. You can head on over to the Forest Exploration Trail, also known as Gorilla Falls. There you'll have a chance to see those critically endangered western lowland gorillas. Here at Kilimanjaro Safaris, we are working really closely with the Disney Conservation Fund to help protect and preserve the animals of Africa. If you'd like to help, you can make a contribution. I know that Disney will match that contribution dollar for dollar to help the animals we saw today. One of my favorite conservation efforts involves cheetah conservation. Cheetah are very opportunistic hunters. They tend to go for whatever's easy and nearby. And oftentimes that's a farmer's livestock. So the farmers were having to choose, do they protect the cheetah or protect their livelihood? It's not hard to imagine what they were choosing. So the Disney Conservation Fund has worked with farmers to help provide them with large dog breeds. The cheetah won't go after a herd that's being guarded by what they see as an equal or larger predator. And cheetahs really aren't that big, you know, they're 75 to maybe 100 pounds. Anyone have a big dog at home? 60, 70, 80 pounds or more of dog? I do. I have two of them. And they could definitely scare off a cheetah. But it ends up being a win-win situation. The cheetah, they stay safe and find their meal elsewhere. And the farmers, they don't have to make those tough choices. It's just one of the ways that the Disney Conservation Fund is helping to ease tensions where human life and wildlife intersect. You're going to be dropped off up here in a moment, so please take a second, look by your feet, look in the seat next to you. Make sure you have every single thing you came on safari with today. It was a bumpy ride, so check your pockets. I will drop you off, but we don't say goodbye. It's far too sad, far too final. Instead of goodbye, we say kwaherini, a Swahili word that means go well. So kwaherini, everyone. On behalf of all of us here in Kilimanjaro Safaris, my name is Marley, and I hope you've had a wild time. Watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs on the right. The doors are opening, and watch your step. Have a wonderful day out there in Harambe or wherever your travels may take you.